the ones that lay in wait for me to like get something wrong about my own life. So if you've been watching me for a little while, you know that I'm Danielle, a scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership, and I'm a former captain in the U.S. Army, and I'm an intelligence officer. I talk about that a lot. And then there was a helicopter crash in D.C. where I've owned an airplane that I bought my pilot husband with that book that I wrote about my life, where I didn't get any details accidentally wrong. And so I said, I spent my whole career in aviation. And all of a sudden, all these bros came out of the woodwork to be like, aha, see, you lied. You're making us look bad. And I'm like, because aviation units don't have intelligence officers? Never said it was a pilot, did I? But here's another level you probably don't even know. Aviation intelligence officers are supposed to be pilots who have gone to the captain career course and are then pilots who are intelligence officers because they thought it was more important to know about piloting than about intelligence. Then we went to war for 20 years and we found out that when you take a pilot and you make them fly a desk, their souls die. But when you take a lieutenant intelligence officer and put them in a captain job above their rank, they will work their hearts out for you. And so I spent 5 years going to war and back. And you know what? If you listen closely, you'll hear me talking about patrolling with the infantry. Because what you probably didn't know is that aviation has infantry personnel as well. Because when the helicopters go down, people have to go retrieve the secrets and souls on board. And I was in the right place at the right time to be one of the first women in history to be put on a deliberate ground combat team. That little bit is also true. Oh, and it's just like, I mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings because it makes me lots of money, but like, it's a little bit exhausting. The bros are a little bit exhausting. It's just like, it's really easy not to mess up my life story because I'm not lying. But also just like the amount of credibility of intelligence they give me. Look, I'm super smart. We know I'm smarter than them. But we think I'm smart enough to fake a career as a military captain, including pictures at the White House shaking President Obama's hand? I'm really smart, huh? Wow. It's no wonder my book that the Pentagon had to clear is a bestseller. And it's just so fun because I know that I have so many different perspectives in one person's life that it boggles the brain. Myself, after I'd just sold Uncultured in a life-changing deal and then bought my pilot husband an airplane called a Mooney with my cult book, then I got email from the military asking me to testify against my ex-husband of a decade ago for white supremacy. And I was like, no way, like, no, I can't have this many perspectives. Oh, but I do. And then I had to write a whole second book called Un-American, which you can listen to as a video book on my Patreon. But it's like, we would joke about it writing the book because it's like, you don't want it to be real. Like, you don't want all of these things to have just worked out. If it was fiction, they would laugh me out of the room. But like, so easy not to mess up the details of your life when you're not lying or hiding anything. Really easy. Never even have to remember what stories I told, which is good because I won't. You'll hear them a bazillion times. Oh. I'm sure the Pentagon read my book and was like, we gave who a secret clearance? Like, and yet, somehow, how, or people ask me, like, how did you not get sued for your book? Because I didn't lie. Really easy not to get sued for libel or slander when you're not lying. And I spilled coffee on everything. This used to happen to me in Afghanistan, but I would spill it all over all my intelligence computers. And then I would just start swearing out loud in Portuguese. Because apparently that's what I do. If you'll read the book, you can see that part. Or today, someone was like, name one Latin American country where two people can be illegally and have a baby and they get birthright citizenship. And I was like, I will raise you 5, 7, 8 of my siblings. 7 born in Brazil and 1 born in Mexico to 2 people living there illegally who all have birthright citizenship. In fact, there is one country in Latin America that doesn't, and that's Colombia. This is what happens when you listen to the lyingest president of all times and believe him. Sorry, I need to block someone being bro-y. Goodbye, bro. Nope. You're just dangerous and saying hate things. Okay. Thank you for reading my book, Stephanie. And when you read the 382-page book I wrote, it explains the whole life, all the details. It's all there. And I could write a second memoir without fear because I didn't need to keep my story straight. Oh, they're so funny. It's so funny. They're so funny. First of all, the reason women are single and happier at 40 is because men like you suck. Although right now you're giving me my money, but the retired special operations helicopter pilot, who the number one thing people say when they see him is, darn, he really is swoon, that I'm about to celebrate my 10th anniversary, would love to know. Oh, why am I not wearing a ring? Oh, because I'm having additional thousands of dollars of bling added to it. My cats are all crocheted, though. You can hear style in the background. And I'm not quite 40, but I will be throwing a giant Alice in Wonderland party for my 40th that I may make open to the public. But that's about 2.5 years away. I got some time to plan it. What's happening right now is the bros are confused because we're not asking for their permission to exist anymore. And they don't know how to deal with that. I only have one crocheted cat. It's a Hello Kitty. And my mom crocheted it and it's been to war with me twice. But it's upstairs and I don't know if I'm going to be prevailed upon to go get it. Yeah, everybody's sick of the bros. That's why they're freaking out, because they're not winning anymore. That was the thing for the ex-white supremacist that I accidentally married, was that he was just pissed that he was born at the one time in history when being a mediocre white man just wasn't enough. I do also crochet. I crochet almost as much as I knit. These earrings are crocheted. I'm just usually doing it off camera because knitting's the mindless thing I can do. Sorry, let me go get the United States Postal Office bins. We got about 1 more week of doing signed books on TikTok, and then I have to go, my necklace is my book. That's the book we sign in. They sent me all individually wrapped books, I think, because I've been returning a lot of them for damage. No, he wasn't pretending to be gay. He was an ex-gay. And I didn't get it. Like, I didn't write him in the story of Uncultured originally because I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, he wanted to own me, but he wasn't attracted to me. But like, and as soon as I got the white supremacy piece, I was like, oh, because the only reason white women have value to white men is because the only person that can give birth to a white man is a white woman. Okay, so that's what they want us for. And so he couldn't find a group that accepted him because he was a young gay boy in West Texas, Baptist land. And then at 18 years old, he found a group that accepted him. All he couldn't do was be gay. And nobody's going to expect that you're gay if you're married to Barbie. And so the bros are bigly mad right now. And you know what? They're doing their worst. But just keep telling myself, like, it's because it's cracking. Like, where you effed up is when you let that first little girl learn to read. That was the beginning of the end of the patriarchy. And now it's about reached the tipping point. This is how cults die, when they fail to keep or recruit the next generation. And like, these generations aren't having it. When old men call me dear, I school them and then I teach them that that is not acceptable anymore. And they say, well, my generation, okay. And my generation is now saying to your generation, we don't accept that. You don't get to talk to us like that. Try again. Or just catch a bubble. Nobody's going to be upset if white men sit down and stop talking. I would say that about white women, but right now, like, we owe black women fixing what we broke in America. So I think we need to keep talking. But, you know, the biggest recipients of DEI and affirmative action are white women. And white women are going to find that out in a bigly kind of way, because all the worst bros are running our government right now. The young men have caught on broadly enough. That's why they're the ones voting for Trump. But again, the young women are not voting for Trump. And if you don't have the babies, Mormon church, it doesn't matter how many billions of dollars you have, your cult is eventually going to die. Ask me how I know. So I am editing the chapter on language this week. And the part I did yesterday, I was writing about how cults use "we are special" language. And then I brought in some other groups like Disney and their cast members and CrossFit and Soul Cycle. Kamala never said the younger generations were stupid. And she also said, oh, maybe we should stop raping kids. Maybe 1 in 4 children in America should not be being raped in their homes. And then maybe they will grow up and fix the world. But instead, y'all wanted a dictator. So now we have a dictator. And the people on the left that didn't vote for her because of Jenny, y'all made this happen too. I mean, society literally has a time for you to be built in between the ages of 18 and 24, where you're a little bit rubber. I just wrote about this in my book, because you're not yet developed. You're not yet a full adult, which every adult seems to understand once they pass 25. And also, oh no, you think the lady said somebody was stupid, so let's go dictator. Yeah, great. Happy to have you. Now we got a dictator, and we all get to wonder if we're going to survive. Yeah, kids are stupid because they're not grown up. Exactly. Yeah. Who expected such blowback from Me Too? Women, all women. I'm so excited. So my musical, I'm writing a musical. And in my musical, okay, there's a song called The Making of a Cult Baby. In that song, I'm going to do the 3... Excuse me, sir. Nobody needs that. In the song, I'm going to have the 3 rules of cults. And the 3rd rule of cults is even if he did it, doesn't mean he's guilty, which is the deification of idiosyncrasy. Yes, I'm going to turn that into a household word. And then all the women and femmes in the chorus are going to get together and have a little "he had it coming" style bashing on men for always being able to get away with murder and everything else under the sun and never being guilty. That's going to be really, really fun to write. Yeah, but honestly, I'm okay, so part of me is don't let it come back that the pilot was a woman. The pilot of the Black Hawk was a woman, because then they're going to blame it on DEI. But the odds are it was a white man. Because those are the odds in military aviation. Oh. The bros are broing so hard. The retired special forces, special operations aviator who was first a mechanic, is Mr. Nitty Coatley, is just sitting in the house watching people and their conspiracy theories and their broiness, and it's just wow. The military is not using remote control helicopters. This should be something that if you don't have personal experience in military aviation, you just sit down and listen to the people who have 27 combined years of experience in military aviation. You would think that would be simple. But no. Y'all, this is how the left helps the bad guys win. Y'all's conspiracy theories, instead of the message, one message. 7 days before he cut safety regulations. Safety regulations exist because they're written in blood. 67 more people's blood because of that man. Stop it with the conspiracies. Okay, I literally can't believe I'm having to get on the internet and say, the U.S. military doesn't employ schmoocide pilots. Oh. Almost as bad as y'all talking about martial law. Just do you want to panic or do you want to listen to people that know something? Because so first of all, what should have been very apparent yesterday was nobody with aviation experience was giving you theories. Nobody. Because we wait for more information. There was only one guy on duty when there were supposed to be 2. And second of all, nobody in the military is talking about martial law. Nobody, no matter who they voted for. Because everybody knows that there is not a country in the world with a military large enough to occupy the United States of America. And of all of the armies that know this, is the United States of America's army. So stop it with the martial law. because everyone's like, oh, we can't go in the street because he's going to declare martial law. What? So you're just lying down and giving up? If you even hear the words martial law in an official way, you go, you take your children, you take your garage chairs, and you sit your butts down in the street. 25-year-old captains are not going to march 20-year-old diverse AF troops down the streets of America shooting you for not being in your house. Stop it. We did not have martial law during Obama. Stop it. You cannot occupy the United States by force. Yelling at people in the morning gives me a headache. Yes, they want you to surrender your life. Right. They want you to concede in advance. I keep saying this, like, I studied abroad in Germany, okay? And Germany makes this joke about themselves, that the reason they've never had a popular revolution is because German peasants couldn't afford the train fare, okay? And the joke there is that no German would ever ride the train without paying, even to go to the protest, right? In America, we will rip up your train lines. And I'm not being hypothetical anymore. We will rip up your train lines. Yes, literally everybody trying to panic you is making money. I'm making money calming you down, which is weird because I just branded as knitting cult lady and now I'm like, Captain, calm down. The National Guard did not shoot anyone during Black Lives Matter. They did not have ammo. Neither did they when they responded to Katrina. And neither were any of those situations them being federalized and being therefore part of the Department of Defense for the military. You're welcome. Helicopters going to provide care for Katrina were pew-pewed at more than during the initial invasion of Iraq. And you know how many times the U.S. Army shot back? Oh, none. They weren't armed because we don't do that in America. They want you to see all the similarities between now and Germany and be scared. And they want you to not pay attention to the differences. I literally cannot do more lives than I'm already doing. I'm literally hiring a publisher to fulfill these books because I cannot do them anymore and also give you all the next book that you want, which I don't know that we can get you by the end of this year either, because it's a wild time to be an expert on the bad guy. But we will get... And this is why we're living in a post-truth era right now, because people say that. Like, I saw a video of the military shooting someone in Black Lives Matter. No, you didn't. And then people will just believe that and keep repeating it. Or like the president saying that the helicopter could have just moved out of the way. Why did he say that? Because he's the lyingest human of all time. That's why he said it. Anyone that thinks you can move out of the way of an aircraft going 140 miles an hour is not someone that you should be listening to about aviation. Oh, Captain Messinek, what was your exact area of expertise? Was it helicopters that fall out of the sky? Oh, it was. Yes, it was. There has been dangerous problem in military aviation building for a decade right now. There has been a dangerous problem building in the entire military for 2 decades right now. And that is because their culture is such garbage, they cannot keep qualified people on staff. And nuts to nothing, this was an underqualified team. And also, Cult 45 disastrously gutted the FAA 7 days ago. It's going to keep happening. I'll fly again when the pilot flies again. And by the way, when I said we were going to start looking more like dictatorship era Brazil, this is what I meant. Yeah, and like all of the like posturing by hog's breath and like we're gonna immediately investigate. Every single helicopter crash in the military is immediately investigated, every single one. So you're saying you're not gonna stop them from doing their job. Wonderful. Thank you for being so on top of it. Necklace and earrings with the book. It helps me sell a lot of them. And it's fun. Worked on electronics on basically Blackhawks in the Navy, witnessed 2 crashes in 3 years. Would have thought their navigation system. Yeah, I mean, I think like everyone just thinks the military is sci-fi. Like that's what I've learned since the inauguration. The DC airspace, which again, I have owned an airplane that flies in, is an extremely complex airspace. This could have easily been a military Black Hawk out on a area orientation. This is also the same time period that pilots tend to die overseas. All of you, like, I've had people being like, what is a military aircraft doing in the nation's capital where they fly? Sit down. Ay, ay, ay. I'm not the president. I was born in the Philippines. I would just be knitting the whole time they were briefing me, though. It would be glorious. Style has an opinion today. My elbow's fine. I'm pretty sure that I just fell and smashed my funny bone so hard. My hip area here is basically completely macerated. So that's not fun. But I'm okay. And I got 10 mom points for crashing on rollerblades. When I get 30 mom points, she has to do whatever I want to do for an hour. Yes, Washington, D.C. is the hardest Earth place to fly because it is so restrictive. And it has been brought up as problematic, and people like Ted Cruz have blocked and Donald Trump have blocked things to make it better because they just want more flights that are available to them. And they don't particularly care who unalives. Anyways, who would have thought all the weird corners of my life would come together like this? And I love how for the bros, instead of just being like, wow, she's fascinating, they're like, wow, she must be making it all up. And if we lie and wait long enough, we'll catch her in a mistake about her own life that will prove it's all a lie. I just signed in a little bit. Make sure I can get this on. Okay, huge MAGA supporter that is here with open ears. Do you know that Trump just lied when he said we're the only country on earth with birthright citizenship? Like, there's not even a pretense. There's not even a maybe he thought. It's like, it's just an outright lie. Do you know that? And what do you think about that? I would love to hear. I'm very familiar with this, by the way, because I was born in the Philippines, which does not give you birthright citizenship. And I have 8 siblings born in Latin American countries that do give you birthright citizenship, and 2 more born in European countries that do give you birthright citizenship. So like, why did he just stand on the stage and lie to you? Claudia, huge MAGA supporter. What's your excuse for that? By the way, what they come back with, that's the deification of idiosyncrasy, which is our human desire to excuse the inexcusable behavior of our charismatic leaders. Yeah, both countries to the north and the south of us do birthright citizenship. And I honestly think it's because these MAGAs can't possibly fathom why anyone else would want to live anywhere other than the United States, or like desire to get birthright citizenship for that. It's just so silly. Of course, she was listening with open ears, but now she's gone because she doesn't want to answer hard questions. Toodles. Someone asked me, oh, and I have to make this video. Someone was like, okay, I just need to know, like, how do I explain to people that are just saying, well, liberals are in a cult because they're cutting off their family. So I have the perfect mental exercise for you, okay? So you think about the person on the other side who's saying that you're in a cult and you think they're in a cult, right? If they had you in their power for 2 weeks, like your leg was broken and you were a child or something, and you had to do whatever they said, how many perspectives could they expose you to? And now the opposite. And whoever has only one perspective, they're the ones in the cult, because cult brainwashing relies on isolation, which is also part of how you break people down. Isolation, pain, small acts of kindness. Taking away your TikTok, giving it back to you. Yeah, but like you said, you're a huge MAGA supporter. So why? Why are you a huge supporter of a party being run by the lyingest person like on record in America, who just killed 67 people in the worst airplane incident in American flight history in 16 years? Like, how could you be a fan of that party that came in saying he was going to try to take Black people's citizenship away, Native American people's citizenship away, tried to just fly a bunch of people to other countries? Like, oh, did she say not MAGA? Okay, sorry, I might be confused. I thought she said I'm a huge MAGA fan, but I'm here to listen with open ears. And therefore, all my questions are like, but why? How could you be? Okay, sorry. Still a good rant, though, if any of you want to borrow it for your MAGA folks. Trump is seen as charismatic because charisma is in the eye of the beholder. Survivors of NXIVM were very upset by the film, I believe, because they chose an attractive man for Keith Raniere. And Keith Raniere is basically the biggest flub you have ever seen in your life. And so it doesn't, like, you need to see. This is like, they say that the one story that Hollywood cannot tell is a cult story. Because if they tell it right, you don't get it. You're just in the cult by the end of it, which is why it's so funny that all the bros with Fight Club, blah, blah, right? This is why my favorite cult documentaries so far are the WeWork documentary and the Lula Rich documentary, because they were trying to show a startup gone wrong, an MLM, and so they showed a cult. And it's like, you don't need the dun, dun, dun soundtrack. Like, promise you it's scarier in the bright light of day. And this is part of what, like, even I try to show with my book and my stories is like, even one of the most extreme cults of all time, like, it wasn't extreme all the time. Media is always disappointed when they ask me for photos. And I'm like, you want to see photos of smiling, happy blonde children all over the world? Like, they weren't like, throw up your cult signs. I mean, we did do this a lot, and that was a cult sign, but. So the documentary is called, I think it's called WeWork, the Making and Breaking of a $47 billion Unicorn, and it's on Hulu. And then the Lula Rowe documentary is called Lula Rich. And surprise, surprise, it's owned by Mormons. But I mean, I've written a whole chapter on charismatic leadership for the book. And part of that is just trying to get people to understand that charismatic leadership and charisma equals charming are not the same thing, right? They come from the same places, but they have each evolved separately. And so charismatic authority is when somebody convinces you to give them authority over them, not by force, but by convincing. Women, let your husbands dominate you. anyone under little umbrella concept is a charismatic leader, even if they are not personally charming. Often they are personally charming. That is how they convince you to give them authority over you. But like, never has there ever been a cult leader that people who weren't under the spell were like, oh my God, they're just so dreamy. No. Charisma. That's why it's an ineffable quality that's hard to describe, but possible to perform if you are a cult baby. Maybe you are both in a cult, Hope. And if you do that little exercise and you both only come up with one perspective that you can expose the other to, then yeah, you're both in a cult. But if, like, I can come up with 23 different perspectives that I could bring my in-laws to, they could bring me to one. Numbers don't lie. And white supremacists love them some data. So you can go back to your MAGA people with that. Obama had a lot more charisma than other presidents. And so that could be one part of being a cult leader. So like 1/18 of being a cult leader. Yes, Obama was more charismatic. So was Kamala. I was happy when she got selected because I was like, okay, maybe she can do a movement. Biden, not charismatic. Bill Clinton, uber charismatic. Oh, I love their gotcha questions. And actually, now for that gotcha question, I'm going to sit here and read to you about Obama's charisma from the book that I wrote. This is in a chapter called Mr. President, We're Not Lesbians. Then he walked in, the President of the United States of America, signed copies pinned here. There was some ceremony, but somehow it was casual at the same time. President Barack Obama wore an understated black suit and had plenty of gray hair peppered around his temples. I was struck by how much smaller and older he looked in real life than on television. By the way, one of the physical qualities we associate with charisma is tall. It did nothing to lessen the electricity of his charisma. Don't you just love it when you can pick up your own book to their gotcha question and be like, let me read to you about President Barack Obama's charisma. His poise and the empathy that seemed to emanate from him. I thought of Lieutenant Colonel Scott Halter, so young in such a weighty job, both of them carrying every bit of that weight on their shoulders at all times. President Obama walked with a grace and confidence most people never nail in quite that way, and I grabbed Danielle's hand to steady myself from the emotions I'd suddenly felt in his presence. A look from her told me she felt the same. I realized there was a practical reason behind ceremony where they'd pin the presidential award on our lapels. It was a way to alert the president to who the warrior was and who were the guests. As someone who was more than used to being told that I didn't look like a soldier, I appreciated this little bit of effort to help the commander-in-chief not jump to any easy to make but wrong conclusions. I expected the president to walk quickly down the row of people, shake the hand of anyone wearing an award pin, thank us for our service, pose for a group photo, and get right back to his perpetually busy day. But that wasn't what he did. Instead, he spent real time with each group. As I watched President Obama work his way down the line, I could see the quiet power of his actions. For 2 to 3 minutes, he gave each person the gift of his time. The number one thing people say about charismatic leaders is that in a room full of people, they can make you feel like you're the only person who matters. I thought of so many aunties I knew who held on to the memory of the first time they gazed on their prophet's face. We'd all treasure our time basking in the glow of our leader, cherishing the feeling that the most powerful man on earth stopped and listened to us and cared about us and ours. They were vastly, completely different men. Make sure I pay attention to the time. Of course. But I wondered if my feelings, if those aunties' feelings came from the same place. I felt so much gratitude that the president gave us these quiet moments, validating our service in the eyes of our loved ones and showing us a glimpse of the human behind the position. It made me feel special, as if I were being shined on. Oh, I know you think it's cute telling me that you don't care about what I'm talking about, but every little letter you type dumps money straight into my bank account, bro. And it seems like 300 people care about what I'm talking about. Right now, I'm looking for a photo of me shaking President Obama's hand so that I can show y'all. This is a fun one for me, too, when the bros try to be like, she lies. So fun. Wait, did I pass it? Oh, I think I passed it. I'm not finding it. I almost used it today. Photo of me on a TED stage. Photo of me with super great abs. Ah, there it is. Photo of Daniela shaking President Obama's hand. And that's Danielle next to me, if you've read the book. Bling, 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 bling. Okay. I gotta go right at 11 because yesterday I was so busy talking to y'all that I missed the meeting. That's embarrassing. I do keep in contact with Danielle, who works at FEMA and is about to be a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and was in absolute tears the other day because not only is the president trying to businessify disasters and monetize disasters, but he's also taken away the SHARP, sexual harassment and rape program in the military, and is going after equal opportunity program. And so a bunch of people are going to get raped and harassed, and the things she has dedicated her entire adult life to, just all going to the bad guys. So yeah, she's doing great. And I'm taking her to a Korean spa next Saturday to try to cheer her up. The FEMA brain drain has already begun. All the people who are good at disaster relief are going to go hop to somewhere else. Sorry, bro. Griever's a good name for you because y'all are grieving the fact right now that we don't need your permission to exist anymore. I don't need you to like me to be selling hundreds of books a day or to have an editor's pick on Amazon. Didn't even need your permission when it made the Goodreads Reader's Choice Awards. Who knew? Oh, the bros. The bros, they be tripping. You're trying to tell me I'm unimportant and I don't matter, but you're here on my life making me money. You are much appreciated, sir. I'm talking to sometimes to you and sometimes to this other live. We're going back and forth. Mike Rinder did just pass away. What are we saying? Book club for February. Yes. No. I feel like what we're doing right now is Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Unalived. And then March is Mike Rinder's Scientology book. Yeah, Griever. What's your question? I'm all ears, ready to answer it. TikTok might be a cesspool, but they figured out how creators can monetize the best. And so that's why on TikTok, you have more expert creators making content in their area of expertise than you have on any other app. Mostly you find that people that think TikTok is a cesspool have spent no time on it. So, that's fun. It's absolutely made to benefit creators, which is why I think people don't like it. You only get to respond to me this much, and I get to choose to blow it up. And I can blow it up to say good things back or to say bad things back. I would love to be on Drew Afwalo's podcast. I got a early copy of her audiobook through the McMiller audiobook influencer program. It's a good audiobook. Check her out. She just makes her money shutting down the bros. It's amazing. She's called Baba Yaga online. Well-Trained Wife, another great one. Yeah, and also a lot of people with podcasts don't know, people are scared of running afoul of the military. And they don't have the credentials to call the military a cult. I do, but they don't if people come after them for my episode. So it can get interesting. So the book club is accessed through the Matreon. This is the $10 support level. We meet twice a month. Second Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30 EST is Cult Memoir Book Club. And then the third Wednesday is Cult Theory Book Club. And you can also subscribe to the Matreon for free. Mike Rinder spent most of his life, and then, so all adults in cults are perpetrators on each other. And we actually need a lot more, especially of the straight white male leader variety, to be willing to do what Mike Rinder did and put it out there. And usually once people deconstruct, they realize what they did. And he was still in his process of that as well. And also, sadly, cult survivors don't tend to have the longest lifespans. Yeah, I did answer your question, Griever. I read an entire part of my book and answered your question in great length about President Obama's charisma. Damn it. Get the stamp upside down. Didn't give you the answer you wanted. That's what's so fun for me. It's just people are like, well, okay, so then what are good groups? What groups are not called? I don't know. I don't study those ones. Well, you can't make a living without talking about good groups too. And the fact that I am just pisses off straight white men so much. It's just like the cherry on the top. Oh, okay. Last book, and it's going to be time for me to say farewell. I may be on again this evening because I haven't quite done all I need to do with book processing for today. So, maybe we'll be back for a little happy hour chat. Okay, hopefully I got some of y'all's books out. Mr. Hidden Cult Lady will play Mailman Santa Claus later. Try to get some of them. Not get through very many today. Oh yeah, today I unpackaged all of these. Thanks for hanging out. Remember to stop listening to conspiracy theories and have a day.